I've always been into art, but I never thought that seriously about becoming a tattooer until I got my first one.
Can you remember our first meeting? Because I remember you coming in, and I think you had like a binder.
I had a very shit portfolio and some photos of some home done tattoos that I'd done on myself, yeah. It was more with the rise of social media and the pressures that put on, because you're flooded by...
Present yourself publicly.
Yeah, but also, you follow artists that you appreciate, you follow people's work you want to emulate.
Yeah, how did you survive?
Well, I was in rehab for the first 6 weeks.
Me too.
Oh God, you two are so predictable, aren't you? I mean, a bitch with a drug habit in your anybody's, aren't you?
2013, a plucky, tall, strapping young lad, northern lad, walked into Shoreditch and walked into my shop looking for an apprenticeship. Being a tattoo apprentice is hard. Now, the purpose of this video is to actually show parallels between the working artist as well as the tattoo artist, because they have similarities. And there were moments when I would actually train Josh and sit with him and explain 17th century Dutch paintings to him, because I knew he was into Blackwork and I could see that he liked very stark imagery. But this was just the seeds. A good mentor, a tattoo artist mentor. There's like those people on Tattoo 101. Oh, I don't want to teach them marketing stuff. No, fuck that. The artist mentor has to teach them everything. You have a malleable piece of clay in your hands, and if you cannot teach that son of a bitch everything about this business, front, center, whatever, that's not a good teacher. Now today I'm going to be interviewing my former apprentice, Teej, Josh Lumley, or as he's go, Josh, where's my thing? I'm scared of how fucking quick I slipped into that. So what exactly was it like to work for Henry Haight at Prick? This is what it says about me and my shop, Prick. Henry Haight explains that all he ever wanted to do was establish Prick as a friendly neighborhood tattoo shop, wanting to tattoo the locals and then one day have the humor or the honor of tattooing their children. He's now achieved this, and to have endured for 20 years across 2 generations of clients from the London tattoo scene is an incredible testament to his talent and qualities as a person. However, the modest vision of success does not tell the whole Henry Haight story, which has since extended far beyond the realm of his local neighborhood. His reputation alone as a boss precedes him with countless tales of his combustible temper, trigger-happy firings of resident artists, and a whole catalog of legendary incidents in the shop, never far from mention. For more videos like this, hit that subscribe button for all notifications, updates, events, art drops, my craziness, blah, 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 blah. And leave a like, share, and comment.
Dun, 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 dun.
Hi, pigs.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Henry Haight. If you're new here, I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and here we talk about all things art, creation art, my theories, topics, know-hows, tutorials, you name it, gallery visits, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, my madman ramblings. Welcome, and thank you for coming. Today we're going back to my roots, and essentially I'm going to take you back to 2013. A plucky, tall, strapping young lad, northern lad, walked into Shoreditch and walked into my shop looking for an apprenticeship. This was my first encounter with Josh, or better known as Teej. Now today I'm going to be interviewing my former apprentice, Teej, Josh Lumley, or as he's go, Josh, where's my thing? I'm scared of how fucking quick I slipped into that. Being a tattoo apprentice is hard. Apprenticeships are highly sought after, and in the last, I'd say, 8 years, the industry has shifted dramatically. Most people can go online, find the trade secrets and stuff. And the sad part of that is the industry becomes quite disposable, as well as there are a lot of shops and tattoo artists who are hanging up their machines simply because they're not making any money. Now, this video, I'm interviewing my former apprentice, what it was like to work for me, what his thoughts are after being a seasoned tattoo artist of 11 years, his eye-opening moments, what he's learned, and what he has planned for the future. Now, the purpose of this video is to actually show parallels between the working artist as well as the tattoo artist, because they have similarities. And there were moments when I would actually train Josh and sit with him and explain 17th century Dutch paintings to him, because I knew he was into Blackwork and I could see that he liked very stark imagery. But this was just the seeds. A good mentor, a tattoo artist mentor. There's like those people on Tattoo 101. Oh, I don't want to teach them marketing stuff. No, fuck that. The artist mentor has to teach them everything. You have a malleable piece of clay in your hands, and if you cannot teach that son of a bitch everything about this business, front, center, whatever, that's not a good teacher. Every one of my apprentices had a notebook. They were tested continually. I would teach them on reading body language, listening to keywords, and how to get a hustle. Not to mention how to cultivate their own clientele for the type of work that they wanted to do. Essentially, these things now get lost because everything is immediate and virtually watered down. This video is going to be in 2 parts. So first, we're going to go over some of the first half, and in the second part, I'm going to go over the second half of the video with Teej, Josh, and listening to his remarks and his comments, as well as my input on what I've learned since virtually the last 11 years of when Josh left my studio in, I think, the tail end of 2016. That'll be it. Anyways, I would like to present to you Teej, also known as Josh Lumley. Take it away, Josh.
I've not.
How you been?
Warm. I think that's the main thing we can do right now here in Philly.
Well, it's so good to see you.
You too, man.
You actually look like a man now.
I know, right? I've grown up a little bit.
Well, well, you've been around a while. I pulled something out that I kept with me. It's been very dear.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, because I collect dog portraits and stuff. But kept yours and that London tattoo guide. Mario Torres drew me and Mabel in the back, so I have them hanging next to each other.
Oh, that's amazing.
But how are you?
I'm doing well. I am.
How have you adapted to life in the States?
Oh, I mean, it's a fucking daily change at the moment, isn't it? With everything going on with the current president, still dealing with lawyers because currently I'm on an O1 visa, which is the 3-year one.
Antonella's back in Italy.
Yeah.
Danilo, when 2 of my artists from Italy were during the lockdown, were like, I'm trying to apply for their paperwork to go back in Italy when it was like ground zero. I knew in my gut I was never going to see these people again because it was such a strange time. Like you didn't know what was going to happen in the world, and it was just me and the dog. And I was actually living in the shop for 3 months because I didn't want anybody to loot anything in the building from upstairs and shit like that. So yeah, we like lived in the top floor for 3 months to make sure that the store was okay. And then
wild time.
The landlord, I swear to God, he virtually, because all the shops in the Shoreditch Triangle were closing, he sent me a letter during the same day that I got a letter from the council saying, these are the services you can do, these are the services you can't. And half of them like nose piercings, chest, shoulder tattoo, anything from the waist up to the head, we couldn't do without, a 6-foot partition. It was and the landlord asked for a 1.5 year rent hike from when I started paying the increase, because so many businesses were closing during that 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was just like, take the fucking building. And I closed up shop. Because I was already 3 months in, and I'd given them 10 grand during lockdown. And I was just like, I'm running out of money here. It's like, yeah. How did you survive?
Well, I was in rehab for the first 6 weeks.
Me too.
Oh, God, you two are so predictable, aren't you? I mean, a bitch with a drug habit in your anybody's, aren't you?
But what I wanted to ask you first is basically, when you started out, did you feel like you had imposter syndrome?
No,
You didn't.
not when I started. It developed further on. Like,
After your apprenticeship?
yeah, I don't know. Like when I started, I was absorbing so much. I felt like obviously I'd done enough to have you teach me, but it was more with the rise of social media and the pressures that put on. Because you're flooded by
Present yourself publicly.
Yeah, but also, you follow artists that you appreciate, you follow people whose work you want to emulate. And that would make me more self-critical of myself because I was getting busier, but I still didn't think my work was up to par compared to the artists that I was seeing online.
Well,
So
that's kind of a danger, because I remember telling you that your trajectory would be different than Stewart's. So because you guys would take information differently. And I knew that you wanted to do stark black stuff, but even looking at I had to look on Instagram of your early work. I don't want to this is your art career, scare the shit out of you. I'll do it in post. But basically, I remember thinking, well, you like bold lines then. I think that when artists, whether painters or tattooists, there's a running element in their work. And so I remember telling you, well, when we went to Good Art, and I said, okay, we're going to buy you some really good pens and some paper so that you kind of like start looking at these as the tools of what you're going to do. So then that way, I remember telling you thick and thin, to learn thick and thin as a foundation first.
Yeah.
But, I think that looking back at that, I could see how you would actually develop into Blackwork. But let me ask you this. What is it about Blackwork that has so intrigued you? Or especially now, what are your thoughts on some people, the tattoo regret theme that people have?
it's not always about regret with Blackout. I mean, rarely it's people that are virgins, tattoo virgins. And, as the style becomes more popular, people are seeing it and that's the aesthetic they want, as with, any style's fringe until it becomes mainstream. But, sometimes, they've got 20-year-old tattoos that they don't resonate with anymore. Sometimes it was a stupid party tattoo, but sometimes they've outgrown a style. Like I've covered up beautiful work, and you get people commenting on Instagram, "Oh, why would you cover that up? It's beautiful." And it's the person's changed, and how they want to present themselves and what they want to wear on them has changed. They don't regret getting the tattoo, but it suited them at that time of their life.
Do you remember me talking to you about tattoos are like the tray rings of your personal life? It's a date and time of where you were in that sphere and stuff. And I think that now, with people who have incredible work and they just block it out, I do like it. What I found more fascinating is the ones that pack in color over the black work. Have you seen that? The guy that's got like the 3 eyes and
the Canadian dude, Remy.
Oh, is he Canadian?
Yeah, he's got like
the burgundy, purple, and like aqua green.
Yeah,
it's impeccable compared to what I've seen other artists try to attempt a color packing. but I mean, but even now pigments are so much richer than they were when I certainly started. They didn't contain mercury, and when I think of how long I'd been tattooing, where blue used to fucking flare up on some tattoos that I did, it was weird. But now, where do you think you would like to take your tattooing or your block work, in a sense?
I'm not too sure, to be honest, right now. I don't want to say I've become lazy, but I've definitely become complacent with the amount of work that I have here. Like in Sweden, I definitely push my concepts a lot more. I'm getting them here because people are seeing it in the feed and everything.
Do you think I do think that Europeans are a lot more artistic in expressing them, more free to express themselves, more like in a more individualistic way, rather than, I think American tastes are a lot more conservative.
In a sense, I would say yes. I don't know, even looking at the style of Blackwork, like European compared to America and the rest of the world. There's the hubs in Europe, there's Berlin, there's Madrid, and there's the big party scene, I feel, involved and integrated into it. And it shows it's the sort of music that they listen to, it's cyber tribal rather than it's I don't know, Blackwork's still bunched as such a big group, whereas I think in the coming years there's going to be the different areas. The people know ornamental, they know dot work, but right. Blackwork is still such a mixed pot.
Well, I think, when I started tribal, Leo Zaletta was kind of like start tribal stuff. And then Alex Binney was in LA at the time, at Body Electric, and he was doing a lot of people that I knew on the gay fetish scene, like would start black work. And that was, it was so different from the Bob Roberts, biker or wizards and stuff, which I remember James Lynch, who I was after you. He found a lot of my old flash, and I gave him a shitload of sheets because I wasn't going to, they were just sitting in a desk. What do I need them for? And now he's starting to morph that into like Chicano biker 70s fine line.
Yeah.
Which even now I still think fine line looks a little dated.
It's definitely got that classic look to it.
No, I disagree, because unless you're over 50 and you've got a charra, a Mexican woman with a sombrero in fine line, and you're over 50, I can understand that culture. But some white suburban kid with a fucking charra, with Peña prison, no, what the fuck are you doing? It makes no sense to me, because that is, well, my parents come from that culture, so I know what those things represent. So I think it's a bastardized version of, like, Westerners saying, "Ooh, we're gonna redraw the Japanese tattoo," in a sense. But
do you not feel that every style's had that happen to it, though, in a sense?
Well, yes, I think every style of tattoo will eventually be bastardized. Because I remember having this conversation with you that when you start following what your repertoire is going to be, you need to virtually find out to where your bread and butter is building towards that. But then your jam is the stuff that trickles in outside of that, like marks and like hearts and names or whatever, that most people don't really, it's a mark where people don't think much of it. If they have a tattoo, it's supposed to be tattooed. There's two sides of that fence. But let me ask you this. Do you have a sliding scale with each work, or is it just are you trying to work with every individual within their budget? I don't need a dollar amount, but do you like a case-by-case system with each client?
Not so much. It's usually they come with what they want. I tell them how many sessions it's going to be, and nowadays I like to work in 4-hour sessions.
It's hell. It's hell on you.
It's not so much that. It's because years ago I would do full sleeves in a day, blackout.
Why?
Because I could, and people want that. They want to get it done. They want the Instagram video to show that they got a full blackout in a day. But more and more people, they would tap out 3/4 of the way through, 2/3. And I don't know, when I first learned blackout, I was watching these guys, and they were doing it a full arm, 3-4 hours. And I thought,
how many? What's a Magnum gauge?
49 standard.
Wow. Basically a shovel.
Yeah.
Yes, I just think that's crazy. What was it? What we were talking about with? I think especially now with younger tattoo collectors, especially growing up with the smartphone, everything is social media is so immediate. They want everything now, and then fast fashion. They want it cheap.
So, the Big Mac generation.
Yeah. And I mean, you've been tattooing now 11 years or 10 years?
Yeah, it was 11 years in September.
Yeah, so you've seen a definite shift from when you started to now, but like a completely different Hydra.
Without a doubt. That's what I mean. I think getting in when I did with you, it was before it all happened. So I've seen, from what I had, how it changed to how it is now. It's been a big change.
Well, I mean, social media was still kind of in its infancy. I think social media didn't really take off till I think I started the social media account in 2012 is when I opened the Instagram and thinking, all right. And then
you give it a go and see what happens.
Yeah. And I look back at some of those things, and they're fun to see memories of what happened in the shop. But I also think that, it kind of displayed what was happening rather now, that even with artists, there are certain ones that just want to focus on the process of making the art or the tattoo, as opposed to the ones, and we both know one individual, they perform in a sense with the I'm not going to do that, but it just, and there's a lot of that too. I think they feel that you need to perform for the audience like a trained SEAL, which I guess if you want to do that. And then I saw a story, there was an apprentice who got fired for her TikToks and her content that was disruptive to the shop. They played along for about a month, and then there was like, okay, enough.
Okay.
And I noticed yours is just the arms and stuff. And by the way, your work is beautiful because it's quite impactful.
Thank you. It's very nice to hear from you always.
Is there anything that you would wish you could show more of on your, not in your private way, but through your craft and tattooing on social media? Or
I don't know. The problem with the social media is, the algorithms change constantly. So you do something for a little while, and I mean, nothing goes viral, but people resonate with it, and the views go good. But then a month later, that's dead. The next trend is there. Like you say, you've got to be a performing monkey when it comes to selling yourself. And I don't know, I've never liked that. I've always wanted to sell my work and what I can offer in that sense, as opposed to, I don't know, doing those lip sync videos or
the tattoo thought.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of those as well. the thoughts, which is weird because being a gay man, I'm like, how did all these half-naked tattooed women end up on my feed? You know, they're like tattooing lingerie. I was like, I don't get it.
Work with what you got, but I don't know. I
Oh,
don't see it being a long-term plan.
well, yes, there's a few guys that I do. One that does a lot of the black facial, I want to say the abstract trash work, but he kind of veers into a fetish thing. And I think that when you start doing that, if there's certain things you do, you start to cater to a particular audience that can put you in a ghetto. And I always think that it's better to be as malleable and user friendly to a wider audience in tattooing,
Yeah.
you know, because you get more longevity out of it rather than, well, if you're wearing a whore's uniform, I'm going to treat you as such, in a sense. That's just my thought. But let me ask you another question. And this one is basically, can you remember our first meeting? Because I remember you coming in, and I think you had like a binder.
I had a very shit portfolio and some photos of some home done tattoos that I'd done on myself. Yeah. I don't remember our first meeting, honestly. I remember coming to the shop and I remember meeting Ronnie because he was in the reception. Obviously didn't go too well because he didn't hire me that time. It was the second time we met that you offered me the apprenticeship.
Well, yeah, because Stuart was like, you should get me, because I think he was on the couch and I was just, because I think during that time, that day, or at that, for some reason, I just kind of was like, I'm not going to train anyone right now. But I remember Stuart having a word with me downstairs. I was trying to get a tattoo ready, and he came down and was like, I think you should really. And I thought, okay, because you filled out an application.
Yeah.
I remember giving you a call, and that's when I sat down with you, and I thought, okay. And I did see something like, okay, but for people watching this, what made you want to become a tattoo artist?
I've been asked this for quite a lot of interviews, and it's the same answer. It's, I grew up skateboarding from about 12 years old, listening to rock music. The guys on the posters on my wall, they had tattoos. It was the aesthetic of being heavily tattooed that I wanted, an act of rebellion, whatever it was, taking control of your own body and your own image. I've always been into art, but I never thought that seriously about becoming a tattooer until I got my first one. And, I wanted to learn how to do that. But even then, you met my dad, straight-laced businessman, no tattoos. I always thought it would be like telling your parents you wanted to be a rock star. It's not something they understand, and they're going to go, yeah, all right, go get a real job.
I remember him telling me he didn't see it as a secure job.
Yeah. It took him a lot of years. He came over to Sweden to visit, he's been over to the States to visit, and you can see that it is an actual career, but for him and where he's from,
I think what's unique about you is, I've had this conversation with everyone, is that if you're going to tattoo, you could either have a job or you could choose to have a career in tattooing, because there are two camps in that.
Oh yeah.
And you have a career in that. You built yourself one. But in saying that, what was, during your apprenticeship, what was the biggest eye opener for you? Making a needle?
I don't know. I guess it was realizing, you taught me every part of the business. And it was just, seeing how much more there is. It's not glitz and glamour. It's not, people see it as a cool job, but they don't know all the behind the scenes. They don't know everything that you've got to learn, everything you go through on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So it was more, being exposed to it. If this is what you want to do for the rest of your life,
the mechanics.
Here it all is. It's not. My dad still takes the piss that I only work 4 hours a day. I made tattoos
It,
for 4 hours
has
a
it
day.
taken a toll on your body? Because have you developed? Because sometimes I would develop arthritis or a bad back.
I mean, my back's always an issue, I guess. I account it to being tall as well. But, I mean, the positions we put ourselves in,
Yeah.
you still do it, but you know when you've suffered and you've been putting yourself through stupidness rather than just moving a client because...
Well, you're putting them, I think you, in that mindset, you put the client first. Because the idea is to make them as comfortable as possible. So you're the one that has to, and what do you think is the hardest part of approaching a tattoo apprenticeship?
The hardest part of an apprenticeship?
Yeah. Because even apprenticeships now have changed.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, for my apprenticeship, it was making myself invaluable to you in whatever that was that you wanted me to do.
Well, your goal was to earn keys.
That was the first goal. But then, you mentioned before the difference of trading my time for your knowledge versus now, apprentices are getting paid.
Right. Yeah, no. That's I think there's a debate on how do you feel about it? Because I mean you did an unpaid apprenticeship. But
I was paid in knowledge and knowledge that I wanted to learn and to have a career in. So I don't see it as there was no cash transaction.
You got tipped. He was tipped, people.
But no, like you say, it's like I was looking for you to learn your knowledge for something that I wanted.
Yeah,
I got paid in a lifetime of knowledge for a career that I want. All right, I was fortunate enough to have some savings and inheritance to be able to fund, rent, food, and whatever. But
I remember once you told me that you had a really good week and that you could actually, I think you bought yourself some shoes that week. You were like, I'm like, why did you get new shoes? She's like, yeah, I had extra money. And they were like, shiny bright. And you were like gritty ear to ear. Like, I was just like, I bought like, but I think we were Vans that you had on.
I'm still a loyal Vans man, yeah.
Yeah, but I just remember they were really bright and white. Like I was like, "Wow, someone got new shoes," and you were like,
"There's no better feeling still."
Oh yeah, and what was your first tattoo in the shop?
Tattoo in the shop on someone else or on myself?
I can't remember. I remember setting you up, and then I remember the week I was trying to teach you to build a machine.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Araceli, I remember sitting there with her because she didn't know how to do it either.
Yeah. And I'm not sure she's even tattooing anymore.
I don't know. I haven't spoken to her. She moved down to Brighton, didn't she?
She moved down to Brighton. She had a shop, and then for some reason it closed down.
Okay.
And then, like the people drop off the planet. But I was trying to remember what your first tattoo was. I remember... I was like, well, you get to keep all the money. And you were like so stoked. But I think it was like 60 quid. There's something small.
I don't know, because I had to get people in for free for the first couple of months. Because originally I was only allowed to do all the line work.
Yeah.
And then you had to check that out. They went away, they came back in, did the shading, color, whatever it needed. I can't remember the first fully paid tattoo, but I do remember I was telling someone the other day. It was either a Halloween or a Friday the 13th. It was still very early on, but I was doing tattoos for £13. And some guy was like, "Oh, I'll go get cash," and just fucked off. It was like one of my first clients, and he just fucking ditched. I was like, "Oh."
There's a lot of ground to cover within this, and first and foremost, I want to thank him for actually sharing with me and being so candid, because I am considered an old school tattoo artist. I have 30 years of tattooing. With the industry now, especially since the rise of social media and everything, there is this immediacy and this trained seal mentality. But there are good tattoo artists who virtually have to diversify as well as branch out. Now, like I said, there are two camps. There are tattoo artists who treat it like a job, and there are those who want to seek a career. Some want to do conventions, travel, do brand endorsement or collaborations, what have you. Because of my clientele, it afforded me to make a sharp left into brand collaborations as well as get into art galleries. I set out, although tattooing fell into my lap, I really committed myself. I had a traditional apprenticeship where I wasn't paid. I had to earn not only keys, but I had to earn their respect and trust. Because ultimately, traditionally, the tattoo industry is built on trust. A customer walks in, they give you a design brief, you listen to what they say, and you virtually try to do the best of your ability to the letter of what they want. It's not about you, it is about them. And essentially, if you can't fucking do that, then, and now we live in a time where anyone with a keyboard or a smartphone can say shit and have the last word, where you get into this echo chamber and rabbit hole of Jesus Christ. That's the thing I don't like about these new collectors or new tattoo clients, is that a lot of them are entitled, spoiled, cheap, and virtually are on some sort of crusade to expose, or virtually just kind of something else is going on with them. And I have war stories and stuff. But one of my regrets with Josh is because the guys that I was trained by, Bob Vessel's, Jamie Sheen, they had a thing called Hell Week where they fucking grilled me on all kinds of things. And I got emotional because there is a holy trinity in tattooing: blood, sweat, and tears. And I would tell every one of my apprentices that, like the 5 stages of grief, it'd come in a different combination depending on you and your mood and where your head is at. But when it happens, when you get to the tears, that is a make or break point of you're either gonna fucking do this or you're not. And Josh was always a pleasant guy, happy-go-lucky, not a bad thing to say about the guy. The guy is a stand-up individual. He is a good lad, he's a proper gent. And it killed me because, one, I understand the Hell Week part of when you have this now newfangled customer foaming at the mouth about something so trivial as, like my friend said, the tattoo isn't blue enough, depending on their pigment of skin and stuff. They make a mountain out of a molehill, and technically you can try to explain something to somebody and it goes in one ear, out the other. And once they sign that thing and they approve it, they pay you, they walk off. A few days later, that little seed just explodes. And all of a sudden, you've scarred me. Oh my God, I've been maimed. I have all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it's not like someone is intentionally going out to hook someone from the sidewalk and then tie them up and tie it to them just because you want to. We give them the best of their abilities to certain things. And the fact of the matter is, in this industry, you can't always make people happy. But we do try to make them as comfortable as possible, give them what they want, and virtually give them and make sure they have all the information to make the most practical and reasonable choices to their design, because it's permanent. And doesn't matter. But I digress. Hell Week, I remember it was something so trivial. I think Josh was in the basement. He was cleaning tubes, and it was, I think it was something like a stain on one of my books, and I used to let the artist virtually use my library and stuff, and there was transfer paper, carbon purple ink on some of the pages, and I virtually went down and I remember him, I think he'd asked me to use one of the books, and Josh made a lot of the stencils, and I figured, okay, this is a moment, and it fucking killed me, because within 5 minutes I just tore him a new asshole, and I could see that he froze, and he was by the sink and the autoclave, and he was just like, but, and I was like, I don't want to fucking hear it, da-da-da-da-da. You've got 24 hours to fucking fix this. And that was a rule. Rather than me just shout and scream at people, although I used to say, Josh, where's my shit? I would give them 24 hours of how to problem solve. And give me an answer so that they could figure out a reasonable thing to problem solve anything, to find a middle ground. And I could see that he was welling up in the side, and he was just like a deer in headlights. And it pained me because I felt awful. And for that, Josh, I really apologize, because you didn't deserve it. And I wish I could say, take it back in a sense. But I felt like the fucking dude from Goodfellas.
A real jerk. You wasted 8 fucking aprons on this guy. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. I gotta toughen this kid up.
So you gotta toughen up this fucking kid, and blah, 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 blah. That stems from my traditional tattoo apprenticeship, where they fucking raked me over the coals and called me Mr. Half-Ass. With Josh's input, I'm really surprised at what he's accomplished, and it's opened my eyes to his thoughts on his time in the store, and virtually his memories that virtually made me laugh. And you know what's funny is that I do think that with traditional tattoo apprenticeships, now most people expect to be paid.
I don't understand how you guys want so much doctors, so much professionals, but you charge them to become that. You charge people to go to school. That's crazy. That doesn't motivate people to want to go to school. I don't want to pay to go to school. That don't motivate me.
Right.
But when you go to a university school, and I know now you have people who claim that art schools are a scam, and art educators are having a hard enough time trying to teach these new generation of students, because they think they know everything because they have a smartphone. If someone wants to learn, they're going to learn, and they're going to stop at nothing to get that information. But it takes work. And I think that because the tattoo industry is eventually going to hit a lull, in a sense, because it's oversaturation, too many artists, not enough customers, a really bad economy. This administration is bleeding the working class. I do believe that tattoo art is a form of folk art that has merged into a fine art. And with work like Josh's, some people could say, well, it's just black work. But also, you could look at it and think it could be a black abstract painting. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It is subjective. And I remember trying to teach him this, and he was just sitting there like, he now sees it. I get it, but watching that come to fruition is something. And you know, with my own apprenticeship, I feel that I still have to try to achieve a level of quality in my work to please the guys that trained me, because those guys learned from so there's an artist lineage. And you know, I think what Josh is doing is he is building an artist equity in his own talent and name. He's built his own brand. He's, you know, with his blood chucker, with his business partner at his tattoo shop. I will leave all the links down below of his business, tattoo shop, and his Instagram. If you want to follow him, give him a like, tell him Henry sent you. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like this on art, tattooing, and virtually how to become a working artist. Hit that notification button for all updates. Hit the bell for my madman ramblings and any other content like this. Subscribe, like, share, leave a comment. I'm very thankful, and I try to answer everything as soon as I can. So thank you for watching. Keep creating. I will catch you in the new one. So I thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. Peace out. Keep creating and be good to yourself. And Josh, thank you, man. Peace.
I don't know why you hang out with her. She is such a hoe.